Good morning. Howdy. So, hope y'all had a good night. Hope y'all slept better than I did. No, no, I didn't sleep too bad. It wasn't that bad. So, realized as I was thinking about what am I going to talk about today, because I usually spend about the first 10 minutes of my drive thinking about what I'm going to talk about and trying to come up with a subject. And that's why some days I do and some days I don't. Some days I'm just a rambling man. But I hope you can forgive me. I'm going to wait. So, yeah. So today I haven't talked much, lately I haven't talked much about RVs. I haven't talked much about what we do in relation to RVing and fishing. Because it's a little bit of a trick. And I know there's people who take their boats with them when they go RVing and all that. And that's great. But most states don't like two trailers behind the vehicle. They kind of get grumpy about that. So, yeah, sorry. Allergies are definitely in full swing. Cedar pollen. But yeah, so most states, if you want to travel across the country, you can't take your boat with you behind your RV. It just doesn't, unless you're pulling if you're pulling a fifth wheel or another trailer, you can't tow another trailer behind that. Some people do it, some people get away with it, but if you're going to travel across the country and go to a lot of different states, chances are you'll get busted for it. And you'll end up leaving your trailer somewhere far away. So the alternative is kayaking. Kayaking, whether it be hard boats like ours, or even those who like to go kayaking and do the blow-up kind. In fact, there's some really nice inflatable kayaks out there. So yeah, there's a couple, and I'm trying to think of where the one is that I saw. Once you inflated it, it had hard sides, kind of hard sides, and it was. In fact, I know they make this for like sea kayaks, and then you put these inflatable pouches inside of them to make them even more buoyant. But yeah, so there's all kinds of options out there for kayaks as far as inflatable goes. And inflatable would be great because you can store it inside your RV. Probably fit them in the basement, or if you have a fifth wheel. If you have a toy hauler, a piece of cake. But some of these newer RVs have raised living rooms in the back, which gives you huge storage underneath. Massive amounts of storage. So we're actually looking at one of those someday for our next RV. We just have to do some measurements to make sure it really would work. But that's the biggest problem, is figuring out what are you going to do with those kayaks. And if you're like me and you want to have real professional style kayaks, then you want to make sure that you've got a good place to store them, and that could be a real trick. So a lot of times you end up having to put them on the roof of the truck, which is a little hard because you've got to lift them up there, and if you happen to be short, you're going to struggle with that, because like our truck, by the time you get the kayak up to the rack, it is literally I would say close to 7 feet off the ground. And that's a little difficult even for me. I'm stretching to get it up there, because you know, by the time you get your hands like this and everything, and you're trying to push it up there, you can't push stuff on the end of your fingertips very well. It just doesn't work. So yeah, it's a little bit of a trick getting a kayak on top of the truck, and that's something that has actually been bothering me, because I want this to be sustainable in the long term. And I know, you know, I'm not 50 yet, but as time goes on, health could be an issue, and I don't ever want it to be a problem to get those kayaks off. My kayak weighs close to 100 pounds, so and we could only fit one on the truck, so the other one ends up going inside of the RV. It's short enough. It's 11 and a half feet long, so it fits just between the island and the back wall. Sorry about the sun. It's kind of annoying. I can't see either. But yeah, so that's one of the ways we tote the kayaks. But in the future, what we're looking at as far as carrying our kayaks, we're hoping eventually to be able to get shorter kayaks, both of them under 12 foot, and then you can get a rack for the back of your RV, and it's actually you usually have to have it installed by somebody, and because it has to be welded to the frame. You never want to have a rack that mounts on your RV bumper. It'll rip it off. No matter how firm or strong you think that bumper is, don't do it. It's barely above sheet metal in firmness. Yeah, that bumper is not there to protect you from getting hit. I don't even know why they put a bumper on the back of an RV. In fact, newer RVs don't even have bumpers. A lot of them have an end cap, as they call it. It's a full-blown end cap, and there's no bumper. I don't know, maybe some of them have bumpers, but there's yeah. The only reason to have a bumper is to put your hose in. That's where the hose goes, is in the bumper. It's not frame material. It's totally not even close to being the same material as a frame. So it's about a third of the thickness of your frame material, maybe less. Maybe a quarter of the thickness. It's like super thin steel. So yeah, don't trust it. But then you can have this rack that mounts on the frame, and then the kayaks stand in the rack, and then they have arms that go up and hold them up in the air. And then the one rack we're looking at is RV Kayak Racks, I think is what they're called on Instagram. They have some pretty cool stuff, because theirs is they've got one that holds kayaks and bikes, and that would be ideal for us, because I would prefer to get the bikes off the front of the truck. I don't like them up there. So that would be the the ideal way to carry them. The problem is you can't carry anything much longer than 12 feet, and I'm not even sure about that, mainly because the racks sit up off the ground, and you can't have a kayak that sticks up in the air. I mean, you got a 14-foot kayak, and it's already a foot off the ground or more. Well, now you're 15 feet in the air, and the average RV, the maximum height for an RV is 13.6. So you don't want to be above that. So that becomes a problem. So you can bring up a 12-foot RV. You can probably bring it a foot and a half off the ground, and it will stick up 13.6, and you're going to be in danger of hitting things, but hopefully no more than your no more than your air conditioner or something like that. So you still should be safe. Definitely better measure it if you're pushing the limits. But anyway, that's kind of That's kind of where we're leaning. That's where our preferred way of doing, because then the kayaks are out there. Of course you cable lock them on and that kind of stuff, and you don't have you won't have trouble with it being stolen or anything like that. Now, if they have hardware on them that could be stolen, I suppose somebody could cut something off, but that would be kind of silly. You want to make sure you strip your kayaks of anything valuable that can be removed, anything that can be removed. So that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as fishing gear, most of our fishing gear fits in the bed of the truck. Would be nice to have a, I guess Boonedox makes a box. I'll see if I can link it in the description. Boonedox makes a box called a coffin box or something like that. And it's basically a really long box that you put your, I think it was called Rod Coffin. I think that's what they call it. And it's a really long box that opens at the top, and you can drop your rods down into it. And it's big enough to handle the reels and everything. So we're thinking about getting one of those, but I'm not sure how it's going to interfere with the tubs at the front of the RV. So we'll see. But there's some options as far as that goes. I've got some design ideas that I would love to have somebody make, but I haven't had the money to push somebody to do it, and with the promise of being able to buy it. So it is what it is. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I remembered it this time. Safe travels and tight lines, folks.